My cast iron pan is my favorite pan, but sometimes the seasoning on these pans can get a little flaky, or sometimes they can develop rust spots if they're not taken care of well. So if you're in a situation like that, don't worry, it's really easy to start over. In this video, I'll show you how to reset a cast iron pan using the oven cleaning cycle, scrubbing it down and finishing with a coat of oil so it is ready to go and be your favorite pan in the kitchen. For the full equipment list, check the description box below, but enough talking, let's get cleaning. So I have one of my cast iron pans that I use the most, and I've been doing actually a pretty poor job of cleaning it. Half for making this video, and also too, I've just been doing a lot of cooking and rushing, and sometimes the seasoning gets a little wonky. If you see here on some of the edges of the pan where the seasoning is starting to flake off. So the seasoning here has gotten a little bit too thick, and I've done a poor job of cleaning the outside rim on here. I could probably even take my fingertip and my fingernail and scratch off any of that seasoning. So if that can scratch off with my fingernail, you can see some of the seasoning right there. That's going into the food, and we really don't want that inside of our food. So I'm gonna have to reseason this cast iron pan and start over. So how I like to do this is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put this inside the oven, upside down, middle rack, and I'm gonna run the cleaning cycle on the oven. I'm gonna let the cleaning cycle run all the way through, and I'm gonna let the oven cool overnight. Cleaning cycle inside the oven, upside down, and in the middle rack. And tomorrow we will take a look at it, and you'll see that this pan is gonna look completely different, and all the seasoning that's on it is gonna be completely gone. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna put the pan inside the oven on the middle rack, and I'm gonna put it upside down. So I'm gonna turn the cleaning cycle on. Right now this says for about 4 hours and 30 minutes was a good time to run the cleaning cycle. So let's go ahead and start that. So I'm gonna let that cleaning cycle run completely for the 4 hours and 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna leave it overnight for the oven to cool and for the cast iron to completely cool down as well. One thing I like to do too is I'm gonna run the vent hood above the stove, because this can make smoke. We're gonna try to burn off everything off the outside of the cast iron. So I'm just gonna run the hood on low while this does it for the entire cycle. Then I'll shut the hood off after the cleaning cycle is done. Let's run that, and let's check out what this pan looks like tomorrow. That pan has been in the oven since last night. We ran the cleaning cycle. We let the oven cool down completely. So now let's check out what the pan looks like now. So if we take a look at the pan, so the pan now has this coat of ash all over it. I'm gonna make sure that I don't spill this anymore. I'm probably gonna give this a little bit of vacuum out and a wipe inside the oven, but now let's check out what this pan looks like. So now you can see that we've completely removed the entire seasoning layer on the whole outside of this pan. You can see that it's all this ash. This is all the seasoning that was on the outside of this thing. So let's head over to the sink. We're gonna give this a rinse, and I'm gonna scrub some of these like slightly rusty spots with a steel wool, or the same thing I use to clean the cast iron pan, my chainmail scrubber. So now from here, with just a little bit of water, I'll put some water in the pan, and I'll start to give this a scrub and see if I can peel off any more of like the flaky season that's on there, or a little bit of those rust spots. So I just did a decent job with the chainmail scrubber. If I want to get a little bit more detailed, I'll use like a Brillo pad or a steel wool. And even though this has like a detergent on it, I'm totally okay with it because there's no seasoning on there. This is probably like the one time that I'll use any type of detergent or soap on a cast iron pan, especially when it doesn't have any seasoning, because the detergent or soap's not going to take any seasoning off of it. There is no seasoning. So now I'm gonna give this a nice thorough rinse, making sure we're getting off any of the debris. And while I'm rinsing it, I'm looking for any spots that might need a little extra attention. So here I see 1 or 2 spots, like these spots right here and right here, that could use just a little bit more attention. So I'll hit those with the steel wool, and we'll give this another rinse. So this pan looks pretty good, so we're gonna give this a final rinse and then we're gonna head over to the stove. So now that I got this pan scrubbed up, you can see that there's no flaky spots, no rusty spots, and that's inside and outside. So I'm gonna put the heat on because I really want this pan to get super dry, and nothing dries like heat. Oh, wrong burner. So now with the heat running underneath, I'm gonna take a paper towel and clean up all these water droplets. The heat under the bottom is going to take care of the bottom, but I do want to get the sides and the rim as well, especially underneath here. And you can see how like there's no seasoning on it at all. There's no spots that are dark. Everything is all nice and flat. And this is going to be really nice to cook with because we're basically starting over from zero. So once that pan is nice and dry, here I'm going to use some grapeseed oil. And this is the same stuff that I used to season the Blackstone. There's rolled steel, cast iron, they're all really similar. I'm just going to give just a little bit of a drizzle in there. And I'll take a paper towel and just like start to spread it around. And start to spread it around where it's just coating it very, very thinly. You can even see how like the grapeseed oil changes the color of that raw cast iron. And I'll even do the handle, the sides. I find that the bottom of the pan doesn't need much seasoning because of the heat that comes from underneath and the heat that develops over time. I'm gonna work this pan, getting the sides. And again, I'm just trying to get a nice even coating. You see those couple drops of grapeseed oil that we put on, we're able to season the entire pan. And so now this entire pan has this nice coating of oil that's going to prevent it to rust. Because that rust that developed was just the rust from the previous night. So when I knock the seasoning off this pan, then just air is exposed and stuff rusts very, very quickly based upon how humid of an environment you're in. That can just happen within just a couple of hours. With water, it could happen within minutes. So now I'll let the heat continue to run and just make sure that I get all the spots on the pan so nothing is dry or not covered with that thin coat of oil. And I will let this pan heat up until it's decently hot, and then I'll just let it cool down, and then let's take a look at it. So I've let this pan cool down, and you can see that it looks almost brand new, like it just came out of the store. All of those spots, especially those flaky spots on like the edge of the pan here, like on the high rim, they're all gone. I mean, everything is all nice and flat. Any of that rust that we saw on the bottom after the cleaning cycle, that's also all gone. So this pan is nice and smooth and just doesn't have any seasoning on it. Actually, it has like the first layer of seasoning. Remember, seasoning happens over time and it develops layers to a point and then it needs to be maintained. So for the first couple cooks on this, I'll probably do something really easy that's not gonna stick to this, like ground beef. So when I do like ground beef for tacos and I'm just making like crumbled ground beef that's browned inside of a pan, this is the perfect thing to do. I'll do that a couple of times, but I use my cast iron pan so often that the seasoning will develop very naturally over time. You could go through a process of developing the seasoning. I think people do like putting the coat of oil and then throwing it in the oven. I've never done that or felt like I needed to do that because I use the pan so often. Cooking with this once or twice and doing the same process that I showed in how to keep a cast iron pan clean after you're done using it. And I'll just keep repeating that process. After 2 or 3 uses, this thing is good to go. It is fully running and the seasoning is really nice and it becomes that non-stick cast iron that we all love. If you found this video helpful and it helped you bring your cast iron pan back to life, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if it's your first time here. And I'll throw the how to clean a cast iron pan video link here. And I'll also put the how to clean up Blackstone. I treat cast iron and rolled steel really similarly, so I clean them really similarly, almost the same process. I'll see you there. Thanks.